Well, welcome to the Cinnabar. We're back for a short visit from Cody, and a beautiful day like this, we just had to come out and do some shooting. And I'd been promising several people that one of these days we'd do an episode on Winchester's early semi-automatic rifles. So today's the day. We've showed one or two of these in the past and talked a little bit about them, but today we're going to go through the lineup of semi-automatic rifles and then put a few rounds through them just to see how the old girls shoot. Now, if you're really interested in the history of these early Winchester Semi-Autos, check out Othias and May's episode on the 1907. They did a wonderful episode on those. May took them out and shot some. I think that thing's an hour and some odd minutes long, so they did a thorough job, and there's no sense of me recreating the wheel here. So we're going to go ahead and look over these briefly, and mostly we're just out here to do a little bit of shooting with them as well. So we start off with, we're in the early part of the 20th century. Winchester's had their well-publicized break with John Browning, and they're really looking for another line to hang their hat on. Lever action sales are kind of slowing, and it'll be a while before they really got into bolt action production. So the early semi-autos were seen by Winchester as a really interesting entry into a new type of rifle into the marketplace. And they started off with the model 1903, which is a 22 rimfire, and it was in its own proprietary round, the 22 Winchester Auto. And the reason for that is, the long rifle had been out for a little while and was getting pretty popular, but the ammo was really shaky at the time, really inconsistent. So Winchester made their own ammo that was a little bit different from the long rifle for these, and then they produced the ammo, a much higher quality ammo for it. Now, later on, these were chambered in the long rifle in the 1930s, I believe, and they had improved the ammo enough that they worked beautifully. Now, they had made about 126,000 of these 1903s in the 22 Win Auto, and another 175 of the Model 63, that updated version in long rifle. So you can tell that the long rifle chambering was a much more popular offering. You still can get the Win Auto ammo, but of course it's not nearly as readily available as the long rifle stuff. And with the success of the 1903, then shortly thereafter, Winchester came out with the 1905. This was available in 32 Winchester self-loading and 35 Winchester self-loading. They were fairly anemic centerfire rounds, so it really wasn't all that popular. I think they made 20 some odd thousand of these. And then shortly thereafter, they came out with the 1905, or excuse me, the 1907, and it was only available in one caliber, and it was another 35 caliber, but a more potent, more powerful 35 caliber, and they named it the 351 to distinguish it from the 35 self-loader that was available in the 1905. And then a few years later, to answer a market for larger calibers, they come out with the 1910 in 401. And this one, of course, is a beautiful checkered deluxe stock pistol grip. Now, you notice that you could get them in either straight grip or this pistol grip configuration. We could get them in standard grade or deluxe grade, but there weren't a whole lot of other options. So this 401, it's a fairly potent heavy hitter, but these aren't long range guns by any stretch of the imagination. And the 1907 there was quite a few more of those made, and some of those were used in military law enforcement. They were popular with law enforcement. The 1901s, again, they only made around 20,000 of them. The 1907s, I think they were 50 or 60,000 of those made. So, obviously the 22s were by far the most popular, or the most produced, and then the rifles had some moderate success, but I don't think anything like what Winchester was expecting. And to me, they were way ahead of their time. You look at the configuration, and they look nothing like today's modern semi-automatic rifles, but they had a detachable box magazine. Clear back at the turn of the century, you could get them in a 5-round or a 10-round magazine. There were even some 20 rounds, I think, that went overseas for some military purposes. Semi-auto, these were a blowback type action rather than a gas action. So they're a heavy rifle. There's a lot of reciprocating mass in here to make that blowback work. And what that does effectively is it reduces the recoil. It makes these a very comfortable rifle to shoot. So without further ado, let's get some ammo out and load these up and see how they shoot. So here you can see we've got the ammunition that we're going to be shooting in these rifles. And we start off, of course, with the Rimfire 22 Winchester Auto. Then we go to this 35 caliber for the 1905, and we don't have a 32 caliber 1905, but this 35 caliber here as opposed to the 351 and the 1907, and you'll notice the overall length isn't a lot different, but the cartridge case and the amount of powder capacity is quite a little bit larger in the 1905 or the 351 caliber. And then we get to this 401 caliber, and we can see the length is about the same, but we've got a much larger diameter straight walled cartridge here, so we've got a lot more power here in this 401 caliber. Now these magazines here, we've got our 1907 and 351 here, 5-round magazine, and then we've got an aftermarket 10-round magazine here for comparison. And then the 1910 with 401, because it's so much larger cartridge, we can only fit 4 in one of these magazines. So there's a 4-round, and I haven't seen a larger, like a 10-round. I don't know if it would fit 8 or 9. I don't know if Winchester ever made that, or if there's been an aftermarket one, but today we'll just be shooting this 4-round magazine. Now another interesting feature of these rifles is that they're all takedowns, and they all work the same way. We'll grab this 1907 here because it seems to be the easiest one to take down. They all have a kind of a thumb wheel screw here at the back of the receiver and a little stop that pops up, and it acts sort of like a ratchet. We have to pull that or push that stop down, then we can unscrew that kind of thumb wheel till it comes apart or comes out, and then it just comes apart. Some of them are really hard to get apart and back together. This one's pretty darned easy. Don't make a liar out of me going back together. Nope, there we go. So, and then we don't have to hold that little stop down. It ratchets just like that to put it back together. So pretty handy if you're wanting to in 1908, if you're a FBI man that has one of these issued to you and you're riding by train across the US to get this into your luggage. Okay, while the centerfire rifles have a detachable box magazine, this 1903 Rimfire loads a little bit differently. It has a spring-loaded magazine tube here in the buttstock, and we load into a port here on the side of the buttstock. We're just going to load up 5. This is a rifle that I have not shot before, so this will be my first time. And this one's fairly stiff going in. Then you twist it, lock it. And then to charge these, we have a little charge handle. It's the same on all the different models here. Appears to work. Now this one doesn't have a rear barrel sight, but we've got a Lyman peep sight, which I really like. Hopefully it shoots well. Alright, we have a safety right here on the trigger guard. We'll take the safe off. Okay, boy, that's a fun little gun to shoot. Now we're going to take a little bit of a break and set up some milk jugs for these other ones. Okay, so we're going to start off with this 35 caliber 1905, and these things are a little interesting. They tend to spit brass a long ways and all over the place, and the brass and ammunition for these is really hard to come by, so I brought my metal detector up today. The 35 caliber especially is a difficult one. The 351 and 401, we do have a source, so if you can't find it elsewhere, let us know at Wyoming Armory. Sometimes we can get a hold of it, sometimes it's a long lead time. but these 35's almost unobtainable. If you're a reloader, the 351 is almost identical to the old 357 Maximum handgun cartridges or cases, so you can use those to reload, but then again, they're getting pretty hard to find as well. So anyway, let's try this one out. Oh, it's all gummed up. There it goes. It might be a little slow shooting. This one, the bolt really didn't want to close very quickly. This one's got a buckhorn sight, which is an odd combination. That's something you normally would see on a lever action. I'm going to try it for some steel first, just to see where it's shooting. And of course, you got to take the safety off. Rookie. I think that drilled it right in the middle. We'll see if I hit one of them jugs. And I missed it. Doggone it. That didn't miss. Okay, we'll try that other jug. Should have. And that should be it. Yep, I can count to 5 still. Well, I'm going to go put another couple jugs out and be right back. Alright, now let's try this 1907. And I went ahead and loaded these magazines ahead of time because I didn't want to be mixing things up with this 35 caliber and 351. They're so similar in appearance, and I get easily confused. Now, one thing you might notice is that the 1905 has a 24-inch, more of a rifle barrel, and both the 1907 and the 1910 have 20-inch barrels, similar to what you would expect from a carbine. So handle much more like a carbine, although fairly heavy. Okay, let's try that steel on the right first. Well, if I could hit something. Well, let's get on steel and see. There we go. I don't know why those jugs are being elusive. There we go. Oh, I think I got one more maybe. There! There! Once we got them dialed in, they went down. Okay, now this beautiful 1901 and 401. Now, as I recall from the last time I shot this one, it does have a little bit more recoil. It's a much heavier bullet, a lot more powder behind it. Let's see how she does. Okay, I'll go steel first this time. Oh, almost got 2 with 1. Oh, this thing's a good shooter. Oh, can't count. Oh, yeah, that's right. This one's a 4-round magazine. Wow, what a great old gun. Not only beautiful, it shoots well too. Okay, before we go, this 1901 and 401 seemed to outshoot the others, or maybe it was just blind luck on the shooter's part. But we're going to load up 4 more. We've got a jug out there at about, I'd say 125, maybe 150 yards. And we'll just see if we can't hit it with at least 1 out of 4 of these shots. This is probably about the effective range of these early semi-autos. Okay, so here we go. It covers up the front sight. Oh, got it on the first try. I don't know about you, but I think that was probably luck. I'm going to see if I can hit it while it's on the ground there. Oh, right over the top of it. Got it! Okay, 2 out of 3. We'll put another one on steel just to say we did. Oh, and that thing's so powerful it broke the chain. Oh, that's a tremendous rifle. as accurate as it is beautiful. Well, thanks for joining us today. Now, I have to admit, I'm partial to lever action rifles and occasionally a slide action like the Colt Lightning rifles. But I got to admit, I do enjoy these early Winchester Semi-Autos. Again, they're just something that to me was way ahead of their time. And while they didn't achieve the commercial popularity that Winchester was looking for, they are a fantastic little rifle and the basis for a whole lot of pretty interesting rifles that came along later, including the M1 carbine, which actually shares some of the parts from these early Winchester Semi-Autos. So thanks for joining us today. Until next time, happy trails from the Cinnabar.